In this video, I'm gonna explain to you how auto smooth and weighted normal modifier work and why do you need them and how to use them. A lot of people are confused about this, especially new users of Blender and people coming to hard surface, and you're gonna have a lot of problems with shading if you don't understand how they work, but it's really simple, right? So let me show you. Auto smooth, which now is called smooth by angle, is this option here. So right click and shade auto smooth, which is going to add a modifier to the mesh. Now by default you may think, well, hang on a second, nothing really changed, what's going on, right? Well, check this out. If I'm going to create a new cube, right, and move it in here, and I'm going to run a bevel here, then you're going to see the difference. You see all these faces are being faceted. Now watch what happens when I'm going to add this modifier, okay? So what it does, it tells Blender which edges are supposed to be shaded sharp and which edges are supposed to be shaded smooth. And it does it by simply this angle parameter here. So what this angle denotes is that any edge above this angle, so 31 and above, should be shaded as sharp. So if I'm going to increase this to 90, you will see we're going to get this pudding blob. Why? Because there's not a single edge that's actually at the angle of 91. But if I set it to 89, all my 90 degrees angles gonna be sharp. Okay, so that's how it works. But if I drop it, for example, to 10, these gonna be flat because they're probably like 15 or something. Let me just see here. I'm gonna increase this to, yeah, there you go, 14, whatever, right? Yeah. So, somewhere around this threshold, you see, that's the angle of these faces, between these faces, right? So these edges are about 13 degrees. So at 30, you are safe, right? Now, why do you need to use this with weighted normal modifier? Well, watch what happens when I'm going to add a bevel, right? So I'm going to add a bevel here, and watch what happens with the faces, right? I don't know if you can see that, but they're not perfectly flat, okay? If I'm going to turn it on and off, you see the difference, right? See that? The shading here, it's kind of, slightly bent. What's happening is that Blender is trying to average the shading between this smooth bevel here and this smooth bevel, and is trying to bend the face to kind of accommodate it to fit in between these two smooth surfaces. So what you need now in order to flatten all these faces is a weighted normal modifier, because it is going to simply fix the normal of the faces. If you want to know more about normals, go ahead and watch Josh's video. And by the way, if you want to get deeper into hard surface modeling and you want to really understand how all these basic tools, and not just basic, but all this entire, hard surface malarkey, how all this works, then grab our course, the Hard Surface Accelerator, because it's fantastic. It's a 2-week curriculum which is going to teach you everything you need to know, none of the fluff, and it's a fantastic course. We have close to 5,000 students in the course, close to 1,000 5-star reviews. You can check them on our website. Just hop on our Discord and ask people. We have 8,000 people on the Discord, and this course will teach you literally everything you need to know, and you don't have to guess, you don't have to watch any fragmented videos on YouTube, and you'll learn the tools, the menus, the hard surface modeling, rendering, the whole shebang, including learning about principles of design. The link to the course is in the video description and in a comment pinned under the video. But going back, watch what happens when I'm gonna run a boolean on this one, right? So I'm gonna enable box cutter on the boolean, and now you can really see what's going on, right? We got all this bending and Blender gets confused. So watch this, right? All I need to do is add weighted normal modifier using, I'm gonna be using HardOps, but you can also go here and add it in here. Now when you're gonna edit using Blender Vanilla, turn this thing on, okay? This will really define where the sharp edges fall and how to shade it in between them. So it's kind of, think about it as like a final flexor, okay? It's going to like determine the proper flexing on the faces and make them really flat, okay? So that's what the tool does, and that's all you need to do, okay? Now, another thing that's really important is the stack of this modifier and order. Always keep weighted normal modifier at the bottom of the stack and never apply it. And smooth by angle should be just above and don't touch it, okay? Even when you use something like Smart Apply with hard obs, it will never apply the last bevel, smooth by angle, or weighted normal modifier, because that's just simply supposed to be always live on the mesh, okay? So there you go. Now, there are certain situations when you do not want to use, for example, smooth by angle. So if I'm going to grab this cube here and I'm going to run a bevel, I'll press Z and I'm going to press P to flex it and A to adjust the size of it. And we're going to run Control 3, so we're going to run this subdivision. You see that something weird is happening with our edges, right? Now what's going on? Well, smooth by angle is trying to sharpen these edges and subdivision is trying to smooth them out. So they go against one another, right? But the faces here are still a bit bent. So what I would suggest doing is adding weighted normal modifier just in case and removing this nonsense, okay? Because you don't need it when you run sub D, okay? In most cases. So now you can determine the smoothness of these, angles with bevel, right? Because you're running subdivision. But the moment you add smooth by angle, right, and move it somewhere here, you're gonna get problems, you see what I mean? So be careful. Another thing is that, let me just go back to this example here. Let me just go back in time. Okay, now I want to show you one more thing, okay? So let's go here to mesh and let's just add a bevel. Let's just run some boolean, weighted normals. And by the way, hard obs and box cut are gonna add smooth by angle by default, and they will keep the modifier stuck in the correct order. But check this out, right? So if I'm gonna turn off the bevel, right, and I'm going to move this modifier above smooth by angle, that happens, okay? So like I said, always keep this thing in the bottom, never apply it, and you're gonna be good to go, okay? Well, anyway, that's it for the video. And like I said, if you want to learn more about hard surface modeling and you want to get a bit more proficient with it and understand really how it all works, and you just don't want to waste your time on fragmented YouTube videos, get our course, the Hard Surface Accelerator, because it's just bloody amazing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.